Welcome to The Passion Pod with your host, Chris Johnson. Thanks for joining us. Now sit back, relax, and enjoy the feature presentation.
Season 7, Episode 2.
Welcome back, friends. Today we took a bus. Well, I didn't take a bus. I took an Uber forever, all the way to Venice, California to hang out with a professional skateboarder. It's been a while since I've had one of my own on the show. Our guest today grew up in California, right here in the center of the industry. Eventually got the pro nod and popped onto the main stage relatively out of nowhere, it seemed. He spent the last good part of the pandemic over in Barcelona, Spain, but I'm super stoked to have him, while he's here, be able to catch him while he's still in California. Welcome to the show, professional skateboarder for Santa Cruz Skateboards, Blake Johnson.
Hey, what's good?
Dude.
Thanks for having me.
Dude, thank you for having me. So, who are you and what are you passionate about?
I'm Blake Johnson. I'm from Venice, California. I'm 29 years old, and I'm passionate about skateboarding, about food, and I'd say those are the top two ones for sure.
So, do you go to this farmer's market all the time then?
Every now and then it changed over the years. Like back in the day, they used to have this bagel guy, and he had the best bagels. Like I think it was like $5 for 6 of them or something, and then it went up to like $6. And then I've been gone for a while, and then came back, and I was like, it's kind of hard to get bagels in Spain. It's like they're rare. They're there, but they're rare. And I remember I was like, hell yeah, I can't wait to go get some bagels, And so I went over there, and dude wasn't there. I was like, where's my bagel guy, Like, what the heck? Like, and I saw the one dude that's usually next to him with the pita bread and the hummus and stuff. It's really good hummus is actually this guy over here. It's pita bread as well. And I was just like, dang, like, should I just get some hummus or something? Yeah, but I wanted bagels because I miss bagels. So I went and I was walking around and saw my avocado dude. Dude's got like a bunch of different size avocados and stuff. Some like 50 cents for an avocado, super good. And I saw like a bread dude and he had some bagels. So I was just like, all right, whatever. I'm gonna grab some bagels from this dude. And I got some like jalapeno cheddar ones and they're good, but they were like, man, they're nowhere near what that dude had. I cannot remember the name of the bagels, but like if I could find out that guy's like address or whatever, wherever they make those, man, those
you're gonna have them flown to Spain.
It's like, dude, it was like people in New York would rate this bagel. They'd be like, yo, like, all right, this is a proper bagel. Like it was really good, but yeah, I guess it's just a thing of the past now.
Well, what about food then over in Spain? Because you've been in Spain for what, a year and a half?
Yeah, almost 2 years.
I actually love food there. That was like one of my favorite food cities I visited.
So the food is good. I love like tapas and stuff. It's I love different flavors. I'm a bit of a foodie myself, so I like to try a lot of new things. I'm pescatarian, so I don't eat meat. I've been that for almost 4 years now. But it's pretty easy to be a pescatarian in Spain. I mean,
there's mad seafood.
So much seafood. The shrimp, the clams, the fish, the fried, like the little fried fish, the fried I think they're little sardines. Like there's so many little small random things. I tried these new things recently that are called tallarinas, and they're like these little baby clams. And I'll show you a picture of them actually. They're so good, man. It was like I saw at this restaurant at the last apartment I was living at in Barceloneta, I would see people eating them at this one restaurant all the time. I'd be like, those things are so small. Like, how could you know what I mean? They're like the meat is probably like around the size of like my fingernail, maybe like this fingernail.
But you eat like the whole thing then?
Yeah, you eat the meat out of the shell. But they put like this little garlic and like parsley sauce with olive oil and some salt, and it's like, dude, it is the best. Like there's like $8. They give you a bunch of them. Get like a beer with that, and it's just on a nice sunny hot day or something. It's like I love also the outside seating, the terraces everywhere. Like every single place to eat has a terrace. Like it has some type of outside seating, even if it's like 2 chairs and a small little table against the wall. Like they still give you the option, And since I came home, it's nice to see that here because of COVID. That's like, I guess, one good thing out of COVID is now you have all these new terraces and outside seating where I'm like, should have had that a long time ago at the beach. Kind of makes sense, you know?
Yeah.
But yeah, the food is really good there. Like, I just miss like random crazy American things though, like in typical American things. Like earlier, I went to this one spot over here called Tomas Hamburgers, and they got like kind of, it's like one of those random kind of like spots like that has like burgers and fries, and they have like breakfast, like, you know, like pancakes, French toast, like then like the plates like with the eggs, bacon, and hash browns, and this and that, and then they'll have even like a little Mexican menu too. Like you get like tacos or burritos or whatever, plates like that. Just kind of like, you know, the whole menu, and it's just in numbers. You know, it'll be like 1 through 100 or something. Like see a lot of those places in South Central, for example. But they got one right here. Tomas has been there forever. I ate there earlier. I got like some French toast, eggs, and hash browns, and I was just like, with like the syrup, you know, the little packets of syrup. I was just like, dang, okay, I missed this for a long time. I make pancakes and stuff at home, but like when you go buy it somewhere and says the whole process, like it's
the whole diner feel.
Yeah, it's exactly an American diner, like things like that. Mexican food, of course, I missed here. But as far as like variety and stuff there, they got good variety of food. It's just different. Like I ate a lot of Indian food there. There's a lot of people from like Bangladesh and Pakistan, so they, like a lot of curry and stuff.
I feel like the best kebab I ever had was when I was there.
Yeah, there's this new doner kebab spot called Mustafa's that's by my house. The dude opened up and they were like, it was $2.90, and the thing is like, you gotta hold it like that, you know, it was huge. And I would get like the falafel one, it was dope. He put so much stuff in there, like cucumbers, potatoes, like all this stuff, you know, that you usually don't get in your traditional like Durham or doner that you're getting in Barcelona. And it was cheaper, which was crazy. I mean, it's like $3.50 now. He raised the prices just from when he opened, but the thing's worth $5 easily. You know, out here if you bought it, it'd probably be like $10.
Yeah, I mean, that's Barcelona's way cheaper than people like realize. I think
It's
when I went there,
cheap.
Yeah. I mean, everything about it, like the food for $5, you can get like a good meal pretty much anywhere, not like fast food chain type stuff. It's really good. And even those like huge bowls with like the mussels and stuff, I went and did that one time where it was like a 3-tier thing with my ex-wife, and there was like prawns and there's shrimps and there's
the menu.
That's and it's like
they call it. It'll be like menu del dia, which is like it'll be like pretty much like combo or lunch, but pretty much lunch special of the day, and it'll be like $10 or something, and you have like a choice of like, you know, your starter, then like a main course, and then like another main course, and then dessert, and then like coffee. You know, it's just like the most Spanish thing, because you see it at pretty much every restaurant, but it's always such a good deal. Because you get like, you know, because they eat in like portions, you know, so that's why they always have that. But those things are the best, dude. I love that. And just like being able to kind of pick around, and like I said with tapas, I like how you could, because I like to taste different things, you know, like, and it's so cheap. You could get like some patatas bravas for like $3, you know, between $3 and $4, $5, and then get some shrimp, and then you know, get some like whatever else, I don't know, anything, you know, and you're just trying all these little random different things, and like that's what I love, because you get like really creative and kind of just have this table of all these random foods, you know. You get some the tomato bread, some cheese, like just whatever.
So what is the like moving there like as far as rent and staying there for a work visa or anything like that? Like how does an American just go there for a year and a half?
So I got a residency card through my girlfriend. We did this like thing called a pareja de hecho, and it's basically you file on papers, you know, as a couple in a civil relationship. It's not marriage, but it's similar in a way, I guess. And through that, I was able to get my residency card. And I got the residency card through doing a process of things. I had to get a lawyer. We had to do that. And then I had to get like Spanish private health insurance, which was actually really cheap. It was like around $900 for a full year.
Whoa.
And I've had my fair share of injuries out there. So I'm really happy that I had to get that, because it's kind of, you know, you're in another country, you're not there's the language barrier because not that many people speak English there, and my Spanish is still, it's improving. It's there, but when it comes to like something medical, like you're kind of gonna prefer to speak in English because you want to make sure you're understanding everything to a T.
Right.
But
well, and being a skateboarder, like that's not a profession that's easy to get like insurance for.
Yeah, exactly. So, I bought the private insurance. I got a Spanish bank account, a few random other little things, that cost a little bit of money here and there and stuff. But in the end, it was worth it. Now I can come and go as I please. I don't have any limit on my stay. And I think in 5 years or so, I could apply to get a Spanish passport. So.
Oh, whoa. Okay. So did you do all this before the pandemic started? Like when?
I started it before the pandemic, but then it was, a process through the pandemic, and then the whole country shut down for 2 months, which was.
And you were there through that whole time, right?
Yeah, that was really gnarly. So we couldn't leave the house. We could only go to the pharmacy or to the store to go, shopping. And it was like the craziest, eeriest like situation I've ever been in. Like going to the store, like you would walk down the street, there's just nothing, like no one. You see a cop car maybe going by or whatever, maybe a couple people here and there walking with bags, from the store. And if you're walking for a little too long, like the cops are gonna pull up on you and be like, "What are you doing here?" Like, like, "¿Qué haces aquí?" And you're just like, "Yo," like going to the store, like. And it was just a crazy time, man. It was a hell of a thing to experience right when you move into a new country, like it's not something I expected, to say the least. That's for sure.
Right. Okay. So how can people best follow you and get in contact if they wanted to reach out once they listen to this and then go watch all your videos and stuff?
I'd say on Instagram.
What's your Instagram handle again?
Blakeulor, Blakeeular. Kind of like tubular. Got it from my old surfer homie.
So we were connected by our mutual friend, Andrew Cannon, who's the brand manager for Santa Cruz. He used to be pro for World, and I got a hold of him through because I own a skateboard shop, right? So I own one out in Wisconsin. I reached out to people at NHS and Deluxe and different people, and I took a trip a year and a half ago out to California, up to San Francisco, Santa Cruz, and kind of all over the place. Got tours all the different spots, and Andrew agreed to drive in for an interview. So what's your relationship with him like?
Andrew's the best, man. It's like every time I'm with Andrew, like I've never seen a negative Andrew ever.
Isn't that crazy?
Like, it's crazy. Like he's the most positive guy I've ever met. Like he's always just stoked. He's always super full of energy. Like always willing to like go the extra mile to get things done. Like when it comes to just like anything work related with Santa Cruz, like he's always going the extra mile. Like I remember when he first came in, like as soon as he did that, like, things started changing and stuff. And I was just like, it was early years for me at Santa Cruz. Like I got there maybe like a year and a half before he started working there. And, things started changing or whatever. And I was kind of like, dang, like what's going to happen? Like, where am I at here? You know what I mean? And like, he came to me and was just like, okay, like, we want to do this with you. I was like, oh, sick. Like, all right, cool. Like, and like right away, like he pretty much believed in me from the start. He was just like, looked at me and kind of was just like, all right, this dude's got it. Like, let's do something with him right away. Because he told me like he was applying for the job, and I was like, damn, that's dope. Like in my head, I was like, this guy knows what's up. Like this guy's around skateboarding all the time. He sees the progression of which direction skateboarding is going. He's always up to speed on like what's cool, what trends are cool, and this and that. So like, yeah, it's perfect for a brand manager, And it's just, dude, like, yeah, I was with him yesterday, skating with him, and it's crazy. Like Andrew's so good still. Like,
yeah,
you forget because he's doing all these other things, announcing for Street League, doing all the things with Santa Cruz, and you go skate with the guy, and I'm like, he's doing tricks that I can't do. And I'm like, damn, dude, like I need to step my game up. Like you over here walked away from the game and you're still pulling tricks out of your ass that I can't do. I'm like, he was doing switchback lips on the flat bar yesterday, which is a trick I always like. I always break my board on that trick for some reason. I land super
too hard. Yeah,
I always land super heavy on it. So I was like, dude, I don't know. I can't. I need a VX board for that one. Like, 'cause I just set up a fresh board. I was like, I'm not gonna do that. But like, he was doing them a bunch, and like, cause we were doing these trick challenges, me, him, and Mario McCoy, and we got one that was a nollie back nose blunt. We all had to do nollie back nose blunt on the flat bar. And like we were doing it, and like Mario started doing it a bunch. It was crazy, and I was doing some, and then and then Andrew, he was not really getting that close in the beginning, kind of like really far away, like, oh, not sure if he's got it. And then next thing you know, it starts getting closer, does a nollie back over crook on accident, like perfect, which was crazy. And then ends up getting it. And I was like, wow, like, dude, this dude is like, Andrew's still so good. It's crazy. And it's just dope seeing that, because like it rubs off on his positivity and his skateboarding.
I think he was essential to that brand, because from the outside looking in, Santa Cruz was like really taking a back burner in the industry for a while.
Yeah,
it wasn't gone.
It was just in a gray area.
Yeah.
I would like to say it was definitely in like a gray area where like they didn't know necessarily, like they being like Santa Cruz at the time or whatever, like which direction to go or whatever. It's kind of floating around. I don't know. It's just the team was kind of reforming, I guess you could say.
Yeah. It didn't seem to have a ton of identity.
Yeah, there wasn't much like going on, pretty much is the best way I could say it. But that was kind of one of the reasons why I wanted to ride for Santa Cruz, because I kind of saw that and saw the potential with it, and always liked Santa Cruz. I was always, because Emmanuel Guzman was always one of my favorite skaters growing up. Like,
still, that party put out not long ago for Volume 5 or whatever.
I skate with E-Man, and like he's still so gnarly. Like, the guy hasn't slowed down. You would think like somebody that skates that type of way, like they kind of slow down, and maybe they modify their skating up, maybe skate more tranny, because he's an ATV, he can skate everything.
Before being an ATV was cool.
Yeah,
that's the crazy part, right?
Yeah. He's just, and that's why I've always liked E-Man, because that's how I skate. I'm just like, I don't ever want to feel limited. I want to skate everything, and like he's one of the number one people that I looked at to kind of get me hyped to do that. And yeah, the dude's doing things like that last trick where he took that slam and getting straight back up, and he's like, E-Man's hitting his mid-30s, so it's like, that's really impressive.
I can't believe his hip didn't pop out.
Yeah, that was insane.
Yeah, so for people who are listening that don't understand, look up Emmanuel Guzman, and was it Volume 5? Or till the end?
Volume 5,
yeah,
yes.
till the end, Volume 5, his last trick. He does like a tail ollie kickflip thing off this like pole into this super steep bank, and smokes like the telephone pole, going like fast, and just gets ragdolled, and somehow
gets up and
does it again. Yeah,
gets up super fast. I'm okay. Like, just gets out. And there's two of those things, and one of them is less sketchy to skate, but he picked the sketchier one, and it's just like, that just showed the mentality that E-Man still has.
Yeah, that dude's nuts. So you grew up right in this zone, right in Venice?
Yeah, right here.
Right. And then, but how old were you when you did turn pro? Because didn't you kind of like get out of it kind of for a second and come back?
Yeah, I wasn't skating for a while. I was like into graffiti and just like random, and just being a teenager, being stupid or whatever. I don't know, getting in trouble sometimes. And then I got back into skating when I was probably like 17. And I started like, I kind of like, I guess I had a couple friends tell me like, why aren't you skating? Like, they're like, yo, like, what are you doing these days? Like, you should probably get back on that. Like, you had something going with that, And it was just like a little click one day where I was like, I need to get back on it. Like, it's like, maybe I could make something happen with this. And I just started skating. The park got built, I think probably like a year after, like maybe like, yeah, about a year after, or year and a half, maybe. Yeah, like year and a half after I started skating. So that was really dope. I had the skate park here now, so it was almost just like, it was meant to be. It was like, all right, you need to start. You got this dope new skate park. Venice has never had a skate park. It's something that we've been pushing for as long as I can remember. And I was like, okay, it's finally happened. Like, he's like, okay, like, let's progress. Let's do this. Kind of figure out how it works. Like, how do I make it happen with a skateboard? How do I make money off this thing? And I eventually, was going out skating with my friends. And like, I remember one time, it was one of the first lines I ever filmed, like coming back, you know. And I think it was just such a like bullshit line. It was like I did tray flip on flat and then nollie tail slide front shove. And then like I remember getting so hyped that I did it where I was like, yo, like, man, this is so sick. Like, I want to go pro one day. Like I was just like ecstatic. I was going nuts. I was like, you know, full euphoria. Like it was crazy. I remember it seems like it was yesterday, you know, I could remember the hype, but my homie was laughing like, yeah, you know, like, you want to go pro? What the hell are you talking about, you know? And I'm just like, you know, no clue, kind of oblivious, you know? He's like, yeah, you know, kind of hard these days, you know, it takes a while, you know, but, you know, go for it, you know, like kind of like laughing, but encouraging me at the same time. And like I even laugh about it because that's one of my closest friends and stuff. He's got like some of my boards on the wall, and like I remember mentioning that, and we just laugh at it like, damn, like crazy, you know, like here I am today. But throughout that time, you know, with the park being open, all the people I met, you know, skating there and stuff, and then learning how to like, you know, get out and film and put together a timeline to like, you know, make a sponsor me tape and send that around and how that works and stuff, like all that was, you know, it all really came from the skate park. Honestly, if that skate park never showed up there, like things would have probably been a lot different for me.
Sure. Who was your crew of people around that time frame that you were skating with? And I want to like when they announced you pro, did they announce you AM ever before that?
Yeah,
they did.
So, yeah, I had a Welcome to Santa Cruz video. Came out in like 2015.
Okay.
Or 2000, no, 2013, sorry.
Okay, and then how long before you went pro after that?
I turned pro, I think 3 years after that.
Oh,
like,
so it was a little while.
Yeah, so I turned AM, but see, the thing is, Santa Cruz, like during the time when I turned AM, was still more or less floating under the radar, kind of still.
Yeah,
you know, in the back, like you said, you know, in the back door. Kinda.
It wasn't like a flagship brand. It didn't have a ton of direction. Nobody really knew what was going on.
People
at the time.
looked at it as a transition brand for a bit. People were like, "Oh, like if you ride for Santa Cruz, like you skate tranny," which I was like, kind of like.
Well, I remember when Tom Asta went there, and I was like,
for example, everyone was going off by that, and I was just like, well, I think that's perfect because it sets a tone moving forward. I was like, because there's no distinct like. I mean, Santa Cruz never really had like a forte of like Zero, for example. You ride for Zero, you're probably gonna skate rails. Foundation, you ride for Foundation, you're probably gonna skate rails. DGK, you're probably gonna skate a lot of ledges. You know what I mean? Baker, probably gonna jump, etc. Whatever.
Yeah.
Santa Cruz never really had that. It was always really diverse. You know, if you look at some of the best teams that they had in the '80s and stuff, everybody skated different. And like, sure, some dudes skated tranny and stuff, but that's because tranny was a lot, you know, bigger back then. Like transition was like it was the one of the first things that skateboarding had, you know, and then street came, and then you had dudes like, you know, Eric Dressen who were able to do both and stuff, and that kind of started getting bigger towards the 90s. And then you had like, you know, random times of Santa Cruz where like you had like Alex Carolino and Flo Marfang, Teg DeGros, these dudes riding for it, and like, so, you know, it's gone in so many different like waves and stuff. But I mean, you had at one point that Santa Cruz was, you know, the best, like, you know, Jeff Grosso, Christian Hosoi, Eric Dressen, Jeff Kendall, Rob Roskop, Salva, Jason Jesse, like, you know, just so many heads that were just like the guys out there, you know. It was just kind of the brand that everybody like looked at, was like, yeah, that's the brand out there. Those are the guys. Those are the number one dudes, pretty much. Yeah. How long did it take you, just to put in perspective for people, that pro debut part? How long did that take to film? I don't know. It just kind of happened like over the course of, I guess, like 2 years maybe or so. Maybe like two and a half. I don't know, because I didn't really know I was filming that. I just kind of was filming. I don't know.
That's kind of how it is a lot though in the industry, right?
Yeah, sort of. Yeah, I was just kind of just filming and like I was still learning the ropes. You know, things happen kind of fast for me, even though I was older when everything happened because I feel like I've kind of been a late bloomer with everything, and that's why like you know even now like I still haven't like I'm still blooming. You know what I mean? Like I just had my first interview in Thrasher, for example, a heads interview, and like I just you know kind of checking things off the list as I go, you know, kind of climb up the ladder more and more. Like I still have, just because I turned pro doesn't mean that I don't have a bunch of goals I still want to set. And I think that's really important for any pro skater that once you get your pro board, you need to know where to go from there to, you know, to keep that, you know, like you want to hold on to that for as long as you can, you know, and potentially even still have the board when you're not even skating because you've just solidified your name so well in the industry, you know, right. and only so many people can do that. So you really want to give it your all while you can, you know.
It's a short window.
It's a short window if you make it a short window. It could be a way longer window if you play it the right way. You know, you got dudes like I'm looking at dudes like Danny LeBron, like dudes that I skate with in Barcelona, Flo Marfang, Danny LeBron, Louis Pa. Like these dudes are all in their 40s skating pretty much every single day. They're all still getting paid from their sponsors, you know, like still getting new contracts, still amazing skaters. Like I'm looking at Flo, dude, like back big spin, faking manual, flip out. Dude just turned 44. It's like, yeah. So it's like, you know, and he had his days of where he was doing a lot of gnarly impact stuff, like, you know, tray flip, nose slide, la dome, nollie heel, nose slide, la dome, like, you know, crazy, really like legendary hammers to where if somebody did that today, it'd be, you know, talked about like around the globe. And especially with this age of social media, I think some things get magnetized a little bit more than others, obviously. And some of those tricks back then would be some of those tricks today on social media. So it's one of those things where you just have to always keep yourself motivated, you know, because once you start losing the motivation, that's when the decline comes, you know. It's just like Jay Adams said, like, you didn't stop skating because you got old because you stopped skating, you know. And that's, I think, one of the truest sayings ever, because that doesn't just coincide with skateboarding only. It goes with pretty much anything, you know, that keeps you young. Like it could be any sport or anything, you know. Like for example, my dad is 73 going on 74. It looks great, looks fucking super young, and he does like little acting things and stuff still. He's super active all the time, and you know, that's what keeps him young. You know, if you stay active and stuff and stay doing something for a long time and keep the same mentality, take care of yourself, you know, eat well, work out, you know, keep a low stress level, things like this, you'll be all right, you know, because this is I think that we've entered a new, basically like generation now where things are lasting a little longer in the athlete and like the athlete department, you know, basically like you got dudes like Tom Brady who just won his seventh
yeah.
Super Bowl, and he's the guy's 45,
something like that.
And it's like, you know, and then you got LeBron who's like still playing, like, you know, he's in his 20s, like the dude still got so much bounce, still so athletic, strong as hell, and showing no signs of decline. A lot of dudes like this who are just like, well, you know, past like what used to be basically the end mark, you know, for a lot of other guys in those sports. And it's happening in skateboarding too, you know, like a lot of people were thinking like, okay, once you get like to your 30s, you're pretty much done in skating. And it's like, you're looking around and like, you're seeing dudes like Ryan DeCenzo, for example, I think he just turned like 33 or something.
And he's still jumping big shit.
Dude, this guy just put out, like, there's little dudes that ain't trying to jump down what that dude was just jumping down, you know? Like, you got dudes that are really, I mean, you look at Reynolds, for example, too. Like, his state gold part, I think he was like 34, 33, probably like 30, early 30s, more or less. But that was his, I mean, like, you would think his best part would come in his 20s, but that was his best part. Like, everybody could agree on that one. And the list just kind of keeps expanding. Like, we're seeing dudes being able to kind of last longer, because we're getting there because skateboarding's so young.
Yeah. Well, so two things I want to address. One being, I want to know what these other goals are that you have. But I also want to say, as things go, especially outside of like in a career like skateboarding, people are kind of their own brands and have their own followings anyways at this point. Therefore, like if you build up enough notoriety through your tricks, through your personality, through the art, that you do, or everything that you do within your own personal brand, you don't necessarily have to still be doing tray flip, no slides down huge hubbas. Right?
Yeah, exactly.
You can take it in any direction that your body and whatever seems to be working. I try to tell kids a lot at my shop, if a trick's not working, you don't have to do that one because that's like what you think the next trick is to learn. Whatever feels good that day, you'd be surprised. You can learn something that seems way out of your realm one day if it's feeling right. Just go that route.
Yeah,
right?
always keep your mind open to new things, because like that yesterday was a good sign of that, because we were doing like a YouTube thing for Santa Cruz, and we write down a bunch of tricks, and Andrew cuts up all the tricks, and they're like in little strips, and we put them in like a little bucket, and we'll have one for transition, one for a rail, and one for a ledge. And like we put some really hard tricks in there, some mellow ones or whatever. And it's cool because like you pull out the thing and it's like, oh, nollie back nose one on the rail. Like a lot of us, all three of us are kind of like, damn, like, because it was like, we weren't skating super hard. It was kind of like, more of a mellow thing. But like next thing you know, we're all firing off nollie back nose once on this rail. Like didn't even realize we could do it so easily, especially Mario, because Mario did like 6 in a row or something, and then did one to fakie so good. And I remember telling him before, because for me, I like doing nollie back nose blunts on ledges more. I don't know, certain tricks on ledges just work for me better. But then I was doing it on the rail, and I was like, well, it works super good on the rail too. It was almost easier, Yeah. And then I was telling Mario how I felt like that nollie back nose blunts were easier than back nose blunts, because it kind of just, you don't have to throw your shoulders as much, It just kind of puts you right in there. And he's like, really? And the next thing you know, he's doing them like nonstop perfectly. Yeah. I was like, see?
That dude's like a machine, though.
He's
you know
so
what I mean?
good,
He
man.
can kickflip into literally any trick every time.
Yeah.
It's just like, pretty mind-blowing. So what are those other like goals that you mentioned that you still have? What is it, like Thrasher cover? Like that's always a big thing, right?
You would, obviously you imagine, that's one of them. Thrasher cover, more than one. I want to have multiple covers. Like I know I got it in me. I just need to find the right spots. I need to get the right trick on it. You know what I mean? It's just,
well, timing has to
nobody
be right.
Nobody knows when that's gonna happen. They know that they can make it happen, and honestly, if you just keep working hard and keep trying to raise the bar for yourself and kind of just getting out of your comfort zone every time that you go skate, or not every time, maybe, keep a good steady momentum. Sometimes, drop down the bar a little bit, skate mellow, keep a good momentum going, and then go skate, get a banger or whatever, but as long as you keep doing that, eventually it's going to come where there's a time that you just happen to just get this amazing photo on this amazing spot, or this gnarly photo on this gnarly spot, and then boom, it ends up being a cover. It's like, I'm pretty sure that's how it happens for everybody. So I'm just going to keep working hard, and I'm definitely going to ask the photographers where the cover spot's at, because if I could jump on it, or I could do it or whatever, like I'm going to go for it, because that's one of my goals. And that's a perfect example of that goal helping me take myself to new levels, because the things that you got to do to get a cover, obviously it's going to be not going to be an easy route.
Yeah.
Especially for thrash.
Well, yeah, I mean, you're looking at theoretically one of the top dozen tricks of the year, right? I mean, not necessarily, but in that general realm.
More or less.
In that realm. So
one that everybody's getting looking forward to see because they saw the cover.
Yeah, it's something that like people remember forever. I mean, like even Pedro, right? Pedro coming out of literally nowhere, and nobody knew who he was, and he had a cover, and that's what put him in everyone's mind.
That was probably one of the most shocking like covers for so many people, because it kind of showed everybody like that almost anyone could get a cover. Yeah. Like it was like, dude, you come correct and do some gnarly like.
Well, he wasn't even AM, right? At the
I don't
time.
think so, dude.
Right.
I don't know. Like
I don't think he was.
Pedro's super gnarly, so I know how that dude is. Like him and his sister are both gnarly. Like like
When is Fabiana's part dropping? She's got to have a part sometime, right?
yeah, she's definitely been working on some
She
shit.
rips.
Yeah,
and I've been
she's-
like waiting for that.
Yeah, I think she's working on something for Vans right now. I'm not sure though.
Gotcha.
But,
So what other goals did you have besides the Thrasher cover?
So Thrasher cover, get like full contracts with all my sponsors. Try to get a colorway if I can with the like shoes.
Which is Adidas that you ride for,
Yeah,
right? What
yeah.
are the list of people that you ride for right now?
I ride for Santa Cruz, Independent, Bone Swiss, Mob, Richta, Hardy's Hardware, Adidas, and I think that's it. Yeah.
Did you get hooked up on Hardy's through Tyshawn?
Yeah. So when it started, pretty much, I was like part of like the first, because it's expanded a lot. Like the team has gotten big, but yeah, I was like part of the first kind of like squad. Before it was like really much. It was pretty much just like a little idea from like him, Nakel, and like little Kevin with Tyshawn kind of be like the forefront of it. And yeah, he just took it to new levels. I mean, man, he works his ass off, man. Tyshawn is somebody that I think is like a really good example for what you want to do with your skateboarding career, and showing basically the levels that you can take things to, like he's got his own restaurant, kid's only like 22, 20, 23 years old, and he's already opened his own restaurant, and like that's huge, and the restaurant does really well. Like it's been, gotten reviews on like food blogs and this and that, so it's not like he just tried to start something. Like he started something early and it's successful and he does well. And he's just, he's really taken this kind of like king of my city image, and like he's really showing up and showing why, it's really dope to see. And just stemming from like, when, for example, Hardy's first started, like he was still, he's still coming up or whatever, but like Tyshawn has always had a forward mind. He doesn't like drink or smoke or anything like that. So he's just always thinking like progression and just like doing something productive, you know what I mean? So it shows, like all these things that he's got going on, and as well as being an amazing skater.
Yeah,
too.
his soda year was
The things that he
insane.
did that year, I think some people overlook it because there's a lot of things that went down that year. And like, I think some people just need to go look back at the tricks that were like, I went to that double set in Le Dome.
when he switched trade.
Like that's just ridiculous. Like, and Nakel too with the nollie hard flip. Like I'm like, I was sitting there just like tripping, like how do you roll up to switch tray this thing? You got to go so fast, because like, man,
Yeah, how do you even push switch fast enough?
so, yeah, that thing was really big, man. I tried to nollie heel it after skating the hubba for a second. I was already out of energy, but like I cleared it, and caught it, but I never got to roll away from that. Maybe I'll go back in the future and get that, because that's a good one. But it was like one of the hardest.
Straight nollie heel down that would be one of the craziest things, because that's a really hard trick to get enough lift to clear.
Exactly, yeah. So I try to do that, and like, I got some ideas in my head of some things in the future that I could, like my homie Gerard out in Spain that I shoot with. He shot like most of my Thrasher interview that I came out with, and he showed me a few spots where he's like, this spot, these could be potential like covers. And so I got my eye on a few things right now that I want to go try to hit. But like he was showing me those potential cover spots where I was looking, I was like, okay, I could jump on that.
And these are in Barcelona?
Yeah, so when I get back, I still got a little bit of time to finish up this part I'm working on for Santa Cruz. And maybe potentially put out another one after that, because I've been sitting on a lot of footage, and but let's see, because like I said, if I want to put out a part a year, maybe it'll be good to kind of sit on some stuff. So we'll see. I mean, I could even just put out like 2 minutes, minute 30 with some extra footage, and after putting out a good solid 4 or 5 minute part. So we'll see.
It's hard. I mean, to stay on top of the game, you got to put out all the time. People like Foy that are just a machine. You know what I mean? It's like you got to constantly be getting footage. I don't know how in the world they keep that momentum.
It's a real strategy too. You know, as you get older, I think E-Man told me this a long. Yeah, E-Man told me this a long time. Was like, being a pro skater isn't just about how good you are. It's like your skater IQ, and that's so true because as you get older too, your skater IQ like it gets better and better, and like you start realizing how to make things work for yourself better. Like you said, like you're your own brand, and you know how you show yourself and market yourself, and et cetera, et cetera. But you start kind of like you know how your own skating is. You know what people like to see from you, like what tricks stand out in your book or whatever it is, and you kind of like put together this like perfect video part in your head of like all the stuff that you would want to do. You'd be like, all right, I want to do this, I want to do this. And like also sometimes you get to a spot and you'll be like, I could do this here, but I could also do this here, and that's better than this, so maybe I'll do this first, and then the next video part I'll do the harder trick. So you always got to keep a little bit of distance open for yourself too, because you want to outdo every video part you put out by some margin, or at least have some new tricks in it. Maybe you're putting out kind of a mellow part, more like a chill, go skate after you watch it type vibe, and rather than like a face melter, and maybe you just you didn't do all the craziest stuff, but it was just dope, good spots or whatever, and you had a couple new tricks or something in there, something new to show people where it's like, oh sick, I never seen him do that. And I think that's important, is just keeping some room for new tricks at spots, and keeping some room for your harder tricks in the future. If you know that you can do something that's still like valid, where you'll be proud of it, but then in the future you know that you can do the other trick to one up yourself in the next part. And like someone was telling me that Rodrigo TX has been doing that for a while, and I was like, well, you look at how long that dude has been around. I'm like, I think that shows that that's a good strategy. So,
yeah. Well, and it's one way to make sure you get something.
Yeah.
Like when we did our shop videos, I don't ride for my shop, but whatever, since I own it, I ended up having video parts along with all the dudes that I sponsor. And that ended up being my strategy, because I couldn't go out filming nearly as much as them. I'm just busy. I got kids and stuff. But I would go, and I already knew what trick I wanted at each spot, but I would have like, okay, this is my warm-up trick at this spot first.
Yeah,
I know for sure I can get this one, but this other one, I'm like, I'm not sure. I think so. But because of that, I was able to stack a lot more footage a lot faster, and I was still stoked on it. Not every trick was like the best thing I've ever done, but I was able to like accumulate enough to be able to put out the project that I wanted to.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Anyways, so getting back to Santa Cruz, the whole brand really has found an identity with this whole Till the End series, and it's like everyone's blown up. Who's that one kid who had the hard flip down that double set?
Justin.
Justin Sommer.
Justin Sommer, yeah.
Yeah, he is incredible. One of my new favorite dudes. Like when one video part came off, and the song Indian Polish or something, whatever the song was, I have that on like my running playlist, because I usually run every morning, like that's one of the songs I run to all the time, because that part rules. That part, like everything about it, like the whole style, the song, everything about it rules. But anyway, so Santa Cruz really has like a really strong presence in skateboarding again. Like I think almost anyone can agree it's like one of the
we
big
have this
poppin' brands.
Really cool team, man. Just everybody skates different, and maybe some people a little bit similar to each other, but for the most part, like pretty different. And it just is dope, because when we're all skating together, everybody else's skating complements the next person, and we all feed off of each other. It's became one really close family. It's like, it doesn't feel like a skate team. It feels like a family, like I can't express that more. Like, it's like seeing them just recently in Minnesota, after not seeing any of them for, over 2 years, was just like, it felt so good, man, to just see everybody again, like feel like, a real, like when I was with them, like I felt a real sense of family, you know what I mean? Like it's beyond skateboarding.
Right.
And unfortunately, with the passing of Henry and stuff, I feel like that brought us even closer. It made us really value what we got even more. And because we lost one of our family members, you know what I mean? That was so hard for us. And like, as much as we wish that we could bring him back, we're just going to continue just keeping that family spirit and everything that we had going for him, and keep him with us. Like, just the other day we were at the skate park and Henry's got his second board out, and I haven't even seen this board in person yet. I'd only seen it on the internet, and I was at the skate park with Mario and Nick, and there's Henry's board like up on the mini bowl, just kind of just sitting there like faced up with the graphic, you know. And I was skating and I just pulled up, and it was weird because when I saw it, I was like standing looking forward, and I looked and I was like, oh, just popped up in front of me, boom, like there it was. And I was like, oh damn. I was like, I didn't think much of it because I thought it was one of, you know, Mario or Nick's board. So I was like, oh, sick, they got the Henry board, like nice, it's dope, you know. And we went and we were sitting down for a sec, and Nick was like, hey, did you see that Henry board over there? And I was like, wait, that's not yours, or it's not one of your guys? He's like, nah. And I was like, what? And he's like, yeah. That's like a crazy omen, huh? And I was like, whoa. Like I just instantly started tripping. I was like, that was just there. Like of all the boards, you know, Henry's new board, all the boards in the world happened to be the board that just seemed like it just like boom, poof, like appeared in front of me, right next to me when I turned my head. It was just like he was looking at me or something, you know. It was crazy. It was like, and I really felt like a crazy, like this waft of like energy kind of when I saw it. I was like, whoa. It was like he was there, man, for real. It's so, you know, it's kind of like you just got to notice those small things to know that, you know, some of your loved ones that have, you know, moved on are still there at heart. You know, they're there in their own ways. Like your body dies, but your soul stays alive, you know, and we don't know how, but, you know, those, I guess, are small little ways to show you that, you know, people are still with you.
Yeah, Henry's a legend. For anyone listening that isn't familiar, Henry Gartland was one of the Minnesota kids, like from the Minneapolis area, rode for Third Layer, which is still like a pop and skate park. That's the place I always go to every winter. And he was about to go pro for Santa Cruz. Like the plans were already in action. They already had a board designed before he passed away. And so that's been pretty crushing for the whole industry, specifically in my zone a lot too. That's been like a part of the conversations. I had the pleasure, thankfully, of meeting him at least once. At the airport randomly before you guys went on your trip to Argentina to be filming. I ended up being on the same flight as him, which was kind of funny that me and you were supposed to be on the same flight in Amsterdam recently.
Yeah, and we were supposed to sit next to each other, which is even funnier.
Yeah, so I talked to Henry for like a good half hour, and the kid's just super, super cool. So I had always planned on asking him to being on the show. I was just waiting until he went pro to like bring it up. I thought that would be a good timing to do it.
Yeah, definitely.
But yeah, so alluding to what you just said, I ended up meeting you in Amsterdam when I was trying to fly back from Croatia, and I got stuck there. We were at the gate, I walked up, I saw you. Obviously, you're a unique enough looking person with 4 boards on the ground. I'm like, I think I know who this guy is, right? There's not that many skateboarders. So I look from the side and I'm like, pretty sure that's Blake Johnson. So I walk up and I'm like, Blake, and you look at me, I'm like, hell yeah, sick. Talk to you for whatever it was, 20 minutes, find out as we're like getting ready to board that we're supposed to sit next to each other for this like 8-hour flight. And I'm like, damn, this is going to be a good day.
Yeah.
And then they wouldn't let me get on my flight. But anyways, 2 weeks later, I'm coming to LA and I text Andrew and he's like, yeah, dude, Blake will probably do it. And then he linked it up. So shouts to him for making that happen.
Shout out, Andrew.
So everyone gets to have really unique stories when they do something they really care about for a living, you know, because they're a little bit more emotionally invested in what they do. So can you share a unique experience, something specific of something you're really grateful that happened to you, but only happened to you because you chose this path?
Skateboarding?
Yeah.
I would say, man, dude, I literally like everything, honestly. Like it's insane because I can say that and sound like I'm exaggerating, but like I'm serious. Like it's literally like I wouldn't be living in Barcelona if it wasn't for skateboarding. I wouldn't have met my girlfriend if it wasn't for skateboarding. I wouldn't be wearing everything I'm wearing on me right now if it wasn't for skateboarding. I would have not necessarily known what I was gonna do and had this like, you know, I could have been like working a regular day job, you know, retail, whatever it may be, if it wasn't for skateboarding. And basically like I've learned how to speak Spanish and Swedish. that wouldn't have happened if it wasn't for skateboarding and traveling, and the list goes on. Honestly, like everything that I'm basically doing today, I owe to skateboarding. Everything came up from this. Like my, starting a CBD brand, that came from skateboarding. Like every single thing that I'm doing today all stems as, skateboarding being the heart, the heartbeat of all that, pretty much, because it just basically was the first door that opened up many more. And it just shows you how, and it doesn't have to always be skateboarding. This could be for anybody listening out there, because I know that there's not just skateboarders listening to this, but this is coincides with everything, because you could take one thing, run with it, and that one thing, if you stick with it and you're good at it, and maybe you're not that good at it, but you could stick with it and you can just, be passionate about it, and you're going to meet a lot of people. It's going to open all kinds of doors for it, and it'll take you places that you never thought you would end up. And just, it's just a journey, when you have something that you love and that you really just can't get enough of, and it just kind of makes your heart beat. It's beautiful thing, because it shows you something that you can literally take to the grave, where you're like, I fucking lived the happiest life ever because of this one thing that I found that just opened up all these things for me that happened in my life. And it could be anything.
Yeah, no, I completely agree. It's when you really care about something and then you talk about that with somebody who also really cares about it, that really special connection happens. And I thought that was just skateboarding for a lot of years. Like, because within our general community, that's the idea, is you have friends all over the world because of skateboarding, right?
Exactly.
But what I realized through the show is it's not the skateboarding that brings it together. It's the fact that you have a shared interest that you care that deeply about, right?
Exactly.
So if you can identify whatever that is, then that's when all those doors start to open.
Exactly. And skaters just happen to just be very outgoing, kind of social people in general. So that's just a benefit for us, that we just happen to be like that. And because it's just a big family, we look out for each other and stuff. And that family exists in everything. It's just like you say, you just got to find that common interest with people, and then you guys just build.
Yeah.
Next thing you know, all these people in all these different places, and maybe you're getting invited to this crazy party because you met this, what I mean? It could be anything. Life's a journey.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, I mean, I'm all the way out here, and I'm like a kid from Wisconsin. Like, I have no real reason to be in LA all the time.
Yeah, exactly.
It's
like, here you are in Venice, what I'm saying? Like, I grew up here, but I do recognize, like, how many people would love to be here. I like my girl, she's from like a small town in Sweden, and like, it's like her, like, dream to go to LA and like to the States and stuff, so like I definitely don't take it for granted being from here, but like I know that, like, some people come here and they're like, damn, crazy, so like being a kid from Wisconsin, you probably, you're like, I didn't know I'd be chilling in Venice Beach interviewing like this dude, like blah blah blah, you know. And then on my end too, I didn't think that I'd be sitting here doing any interview, doing something like this, if little Blake was looking, he'd be like, wow, that's pretty cool. Like,
yeah, I mean, life's for sure a trip. So I think you grow most when you make mistakes, right? Like if you never make mistakes, you just never learn how to avoid them in the future, like grow. So I think those are the best moments to learn from. So can you share a story about a mistake you made, something that somebody listening might be able to benefit from?
Yeah, so I got a lot, because unfortunately I just cannot ever learn the easy way. I just always have to learn the hard way. I cannot just listen to myself or somebody else being like, yeah, I probably shouldn't do that. I'm like, let's see. Nope, didn't work, learn the hard way, or repercussions, whatever it is. But yeah, for the first one, I would say, and my dad tells me this, always stay 2 steps ahead of the sheriff is what he says. And that doesn't mean like if you're committing a crime, make sure you're like doing it smart. It's like, no, just don't have any contact with the cops, period. Like if you can stay, like, for example, because growing up in LA, Black or Mexican, like, or Latino or whatever, sometimes you get a little bit targeted by the cops and stuff. So you gotta know how to conduct yourself. It's not easy all the time, but like, for example, if you're getting pulled over and you start freaking out on the cop or whatever, you're going to look like you did something. You're going to look nervous. You're going to look like, why is this guy going nuts? I'm just asking him some questions. But if you stay cool, calm, and collected, that's staying 2 steps ahead, because you're kind of foreseeing, the next moves and stuff, the reaction of him. If you just be normal, go through what he's saying, and you can get on with your day after that, so maybe, for those out there that have, those problems or whatever, dealing with the cops always stopping you, just, let them do whatever. It's their job at the end of the day, and just stay calm, don't react, even if they're trying to get a rise out of you, because that does happen, because sometimes cops are frustrated that you don't have anything on you. They, normal human reaction, nobody wants to feel dumb, and sometimes cops feel stupid or feel bad for pulling somebody over because they kind of profile them. But at the end of the day, some things are understandable. Still doesn't really make it right. But that's one thing I always learned when I was younger, because when you're a teenager, you're always doing so many stupid things that could potentially, at least in LA, here in Venice, growing up, that could get you into stupid situations with the cops and stuff, so stay out of those situations. For example, don't, if you have to second guess something and be like, is that a good idea? Like, can I, can I get like locked up for this? Can I, is this gonna put me in jeopardy in any sort of sense or way at all? Then like, you should probably not do it. So that's another way of staying ahead of the game, and just basically staying out of trouble as a whole. That's something that I had to learn the hard way, because I got into a lot of trouble when I was younger. Like I got onto probation trying to do attempted burglary when I was 12 years old.
Oh God.
And then got off of probation on my 16th birthday. Got off of probation on my 16th birthday, which was crazy. I had court on my 16th birthday, and I was just praying. I was like, I hope this goes good, because goddamn, I cannot believe I'm going to court on my 16th birthday. And I got my probation terminated, which was amazing. I was hoping for that, because I was doing good. And I wanted, my freedom back. I didn't want to report to this lady all the time, and they kind of just got you by a leash. It's not, nobody wants to be on probation, especially, if you're an adult. Luckily, it only happened when I was a kid. But getting in trouble was one of the biggest lessons for me, to kind of just put it behind me. And I'm lucky that it happened when I was a kid rather than an adult, because obviously they don't, they kind of slap you on the wrist for certain things. And when you're an adult, it's kind of like, look, you were supposed to have already learned this. Like it could be, anything, but like, if you're an adult, they're going to treat you like an adult. So try not to get into trouble when you're an adult. Try not to get into trouble at all, because it's really just not worth it at the end of the day. There's so many things out there that you could be doing other than, getting yourself into some type of sketchy business. And then, like fighting, for example, is, I think, a huge one too, because if you're somebody that, say, goes out to the bar or something, and there's always going to be that guy at the bar or something, that belligerent dude, stay far away from that guy, because that dude's got another thing coming. You know what I mean? Like, you don't want to be in any of those situations, because you never know who's packing a gun. You never know what dude's got some loose screw in his head ready to do something irrational. So just that, I've seen it happen. I've had a friend, get shot in a crossfire, not even, really doing anything, because that's another reason to just steer clear of the whole situation. Not just don't get involved, but like, maybe it's time to leave that place. You know what I'm saying? If somebody's pulling out a gun, like, yeah, it's time to go. So, there's these, not everybody's dealing with situations that heavy. This is more so like LA things, because a lot of crazy stuff like that can happen here. But anywhere, I think anybody's dealing with, some belligerent dude sometime in their life in a bar. And it's like, just remember that it's not worth it, because you're going to be looking at potentially, the cops, court, everything that I just named pretty much, like, and it is just not worth it. So yeah, pretty much just stay out of trouble, and you'll definitely be happy, because you don't want to learn the hard way. It's not worth. It's draining having to go to court and deal with all that stuff and money, and it's just better to just steer clear and just wake up the next day refreshed in your own bed.
Yeah, I think the 2-step ahead thing actually works on the flip side as well, when you're talking about like success, right?
Yeah.
If you look at where do you want to be 2 steps from now, be that person today then.
Yeah, exactly.
And then it will happen, right?
Manifest things too. And the second thing I was going to say was, one thing that I'm happy about was that I never lost hope. I never listened to the naysayers. That's, I think, one of the biggest things that I can pat myself on the back, because there's times where things were looking down and I wasn't really sure if things were going to work out with skateboarding. I was kind of like, you know, like, maybe I'll get like a job on the side or whatever. But like at the same time, like, and I'm not saying that getting a job would have stopped me from everything, but I felt like the time that I needed to put into skateboarding, I wouldn't be able to put that time in if I ended up getting a job and stuff, you know? So I was just like, still like, you know, getting little, doing whatever, like, you know, trimming weed and stuff, even like things like this, just to keep money in my pocket and make sure that I'm getting income, because no matter what, I was not about to be broke, you know? Like, I may not have had a job, but I'm making sure that I keep money in my pocket, you know? I'm not saying I was selling drugs or anything, but like, I'm, you know, there's ways to keep money in your pocket and not work a 9-to-5 job. I mean, you just have to be resourceful, pretty much, you know, and like, you know, and trimming, I'm not saying like, yeah, go trim weed or whatever. I mean, but you know, there's like, I was working, you know, helping my homie paint house and stuff, like random things, you know what I mean? So it could be anything, but one thing I suggest is never let yourself be broke. So if you got to go get that 9-to-5, go get the 9-to-5. Don't be broke. Nobody wants to be broke because you need money to do things. But yeah, never listen to the naysayers, you know, because if you truly believe that you can do something, then you definitely can do it, because it just takes a matter of unlocking it. It's there. If it's in you and the thought's there, then it's possible, you know. Anything is pretty much possible, especially if it's already been done before. You know, if somebody else has done it, then who's to say that you can't do it? You just have to believe in yourself. And as long as you don't listen to anybody telling you can't, then you'll be all right. Because there's a good amount of people telling you, hey, what are you doing, Blake? You're still skating? Like, when are you going to go get a job? I was like, what are you worried about what I'm doing for, man? What are you doing these days? How's your job going, you know? And it's just like, you know, so people sometimes, their negativity are just reflections of their own emotions, of how their life is, you know? They're bummed to see that you're passionate about something, and sometimes they don't have that, so they'll try to knock you for it.
Yeah, I think that's true. I mean, if you try, you can surround yourself by, you know, with the right people. Yeah. So moving forward, now that you're going to have some new people jump over and want to watch what's going on with you, what can we expect to see in the coming months? I mean, this new part, obviously. Yeah,
so I got a new part coming out, potentially two, we'll see. But I have one part coming out. And I got a new colorway of my shades from Crap called the Speedway that are coming out, as well as a new board coming out down the line that my brother, who's in prison right now, helped design, because he's a really dope artist. And so I'm really stoked on that, because you know, keeps his spirits up and stuff, and kind of shows, you know, like I said, anything is still possible, even if you're in prison. You know, my brother's in prison, and like, you know, he's had a lot of struggles and stuff, you know, getting, you know, to this day or whatever, where he is. But it just shows, like, you know, it's, you know, life is short, but life is also long. There's a lot of time. You got 365 days a year, 24 hours in a day. You know, that's a lot of time to do things. You know, you can sit around and just not do anything, or you can get things done. You know, it's just as simple as, like you were saying earlier, like, I didn't come to LA to go to the bar, party, whatever. I came to get things done, you know?
Yeah.
And as long as you have that mentality, things will work for you. So my brother doing that graphic or whatever, or helping out with the graphic with the art department over at Santa Cruz, was just another example of showing what's possible, you know, to the people that didn't think that. It's like, who would have thought that this dude in jail is helping design a board for one of the biggest skateboarding companies in the world, you know? So I thought that was really cool. And I was really stoked that they were down to, you know, do that, you know, it definitely brought my brother's spirits up for sure. He's stoked. Dope. So I'm hyped to see that coming out. I just had an ad come out in the new Thrasher for Santa Cruz, and that ad kind of shows a little bit of the illustration from the board graphic on there. So yeah, keep an eye out. I think that's the October Thrasher. And I just had an interview in the September issue of Thrasher as well. So yeah, new shades, part, new boards coming out, and the next year's coming up. Just look for a lot of footage. You know, I'm living in Barcelona now, so if you want, follow me on Instagram at Blakular. Like I said, Blakular. I'm always posting updates in Barcy. If you're curious of what life is like on there, you could just kind of watch my story if you want. And yeah, I'll be putting out a lot of footage and stuff and content on YouTube with Santa Cruz. We're doing a lot of new fun things. They got this cooking show that we're just starting now. So, you know, go check out Santa Cruz's YouTube channel as well. And yeah, so we got a lot of content coming in the future. So just, you know, stay up to date with the social media pretty much. And that's how you can see it.
Thank you for joining us for this episode of The Passion Pod. We hope you enjoyed it as much as we did. We'll see you soon.